learners. You are welcome to Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO candidates. Previously, we learned about type of lyric poetry, and we dwelt on questions that borders around such type. And today, we are looking at another question bordering on another type of lyric poetry. And as we go on, I know you are going to learn a lot today.
Eko Learners Support, a support program of the Lagos State Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education for WAEC and NECO candidates.
Question based on the type of poetry. Another question on the type of poetry is drawn from a non-African poem, The Journey of the Magi by T.S. Eliot. The lesson title still remains The Journey of the Magi. The subtitle is Describe the Journey of the Magi as an epic. And what we want to achieve after this lesson is students will study the poem and be able to analyze every stanzas of the poem, define epic as type of lyric poetry, state the characteristics of epic, state the demands of the question, and finally start to answer the question. The background study of this poem is that it's a literal journey, an ordinary journey of some Magi from Babylon down to Bethlehem. It is an extract from the Bible, but yet in this poem, nothing is mentioned about Babylon or Bethlehem or Jesus Christ. So students must restrict themselves to the content of the poem, or else it will affect their marks. It's a bundle of allusion. Allusion is making reference to a legend, to a particular era that is so significant in the history of the country or nation that we are talking about, or the Bible. So this is an extract from the Bible. It tells the story of some Magi, just as I've said, to confirm the journey is just to go, to confirm the birth of a particular child. They have had so much, so many years back, about a child that is going to be born, a prophecy that has come to pass, and they want to see that child. The poem is just giving the account of literal journey that eventually leads to spiritual rebirth of the Magi that embarked on the journey. So to answer the question in-depthly, then you must know what each stanza stands for. The first stanza, it talks about the problem, the encounter on the journey. And if you look at the poem, I hope you have your poem with you. If you look at the poem, we have quite a lot of challenges. They have quite a lot of challenges. The first one, he said, a cold morning we heard of it. Just worst time of the year. That is one problem. They set on the journey when the weather was not really friendly. The second one, the journey is such a long one, according to the poem. And the third one, they are camels, galled, sword-footed, refractory. That is, the camels were actually affected by a particular disease as a result of the snow. So their mode of transportation is affected. That is number 3. We have the time they were regretting of the fact that they shouldn't have embarked on the journey. and that will create a inner turmoil and sorrow in them. They have the camel men, the riders, they were given attitude. They are no more cooperative again. The poem says they run away and wanted their liquor and women. Then the night fire going out and lack of shelters because it's too expensive for them to afford. The places they got to, the people there are unfriendly, they are hostile. So in that stanza 1, they have problems of unfriendly weather, the regret of embarking on the journey, the temptation to go back home, the donkeys contracting diseases, their riders becoming uncontrollable, and the hostile attitude of the people of the town and villages they got to. Stanza 2, it continues on the description of the journey, but here they got to a better place. The place is described as a temperate valley, wet below the slow line, smelling of vegetation. And that one is symbolic of the fact that they got to a better place than the first place they got to. So this is significant of the fact that it's going to affect their feelings. They are going to get better. And they will have that inner peace because the vegetation, the smell of the vegetation, the running stream just portray the fact that that place is a place of life and productivity. So it's a better place. And all the signs that they see there, it's as if they are already very close to the place of the birth of the child, even though he said not as soon as they thought they will meet the child. The first sign they see there is the 3 trees that is signifying the crucifixion of the baby, the white horse that is significant of the judgment, the tavern with vine leaves is significance of salvation, the 6 hands of at an open door dicing for pieces of silver, and feet kicking the empty skin. I think it's just significant of the reproach that is meted on the child. So all this, it seems as if they are very close to where they were going. But eventually, in that stanza, they actually got to the place, but they were not really contented of the fact that they have gotten there. The only thing is that there is much more than what they thought is going to be the end of the story. Stanza 3, it talks about the impact and the effect of the journey. So the last stanza is just going deeper into the experience and how it affects them. The impact and the effect of the journey on their life. They actually saw the baby, but that is not the end of the whole thing. They experience a rebirth. The death of their own natural self, of their own natural nature, and at the end of the day, becoming a new personality because they now have a deeper understanding of the fact that they have been living their life as a natural human being, but now they now have a spiritual rebirth that makes them to connect even to a higher being. And that is the analysis of the stanzas. Then the question, describe the journey of the Magi as an epic, characteristics of an epic. To answer that question properly, we must know the characteristics of an epic type of poetry. Number one, it tells stories. If you look at that poem, a story is told of some Magi who left their place of abode to look for a child that has been born. Their characters, always noble, legendary, and heroic. The Magi, they are actually important people from Babylon. They are noble, they are wealthy, because in the course of that poem, they regretted leaving their palaces and their terraces, where they have made serving them shebet Jews. And so they regretted leaving their comfort zone to begin to look for a child. Number 3, it is prosaic. It is in prose form. It is narrative and very lengthy. So this is a deviation from a normal poem. A poem is just an expression of feelings and emotions, but here we have a story, and that is why it is an epic, and it is different from a ballad, because ballad tells stories but in song, but epic tells story just like a prose. Number 4, there is always a narrative point of view. If you look at the poem, one of the Magi is actually narrating the story after they have gone on the journey, after so many years after the journey. So it's part of the story, and it's telling the story of their journey, their adventure. That is why it is first-person narrative point of view. It has settings. You can see all of these, they are just characteristics of prose, and it is present in this poem. So we have settings in these poems too. They left their place. That is one setting. They got to towns and cities where people are hostile. That is another setting. They eventually got to the place of the birth. That is another setting. Those are the characteristics. And you are able to bring this out of the poem with adequate examples from the text, then you are doing a good job. The demands of the question. Number 1, statement on the central theme of spiritual death and rebirth. That is the central theme. Remember that for you to start answering any question on literature, you start with the central theme. The central theme will actually help to give a brief summary of what the poem or prose or drama is all about. State the poem as an epic by listing the characteristics of an epic poem. I have tried to do that, bringing them out of the poem. So while writing, you begin to bring out, relate the characteristics to the poem, bringing instances out of the poem. Number 4, give instances of these characteristics as found in the poem. They are characters. It is prose. It is narrative. There is narrative point of view. There are settings. The characters are important people of a particular country who has gone on a journey. So all these well explained, you will have answered the question. Number 3, you give instances of these characteristics as found in the poem. That's what I just did. The story is told from the first person narrative point of view. They are setting. That is number 3, giving the instances out of the poem. There are settings, the Magi's country, the cities they go to, and the place of birth of the baby. Make a concluding statement by confirming the poem as an epic. Having said all that, then there must be a conclusion to stress and to reiterate the fact that this poem is an epic. Thank you very much for comments, questions, observation. You can reach us at our social media handle displayed on the screen.
your WAEC and NECO examinations has been made easy by the Lagos State Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education with the Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO Candidates television program. Join seasoned teachers as they take you through these core subjects, targeting the exact syllabus of WAEC and NECO. Watch Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO candidates through these social media platforms to access more educational content and give their feedback. Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO candidates. Pass your examinations with flying colors.